Okay, in this problem we're asked to subtract 224 base 8 minus 25 base 8. Okay, so the first thing you want to look at, you start with this 5 and you look at the same digit over here and you say, is there enough? Is there enough to subtract the 5 from the 4? There's not. Okay, so I'm going to have to borrow. So I would have to borrow from this digit to make this digit more. We'll go into that in a second. But if I borrow from this digit, it becomes a 1, right? So if we change this into a 1 after we borrowed, would there be enough here to subtract? This would be a 1, this would be a 2? No, there would not. So what we're going to end up doing is actually subtracting here and subtracting over both times. Okay, so I'm going to borrow. Okay, so I'll cross out the 2, it'll become a 1. Now when I look at the next digit, normally when you're in base 10, you change this 2 into a 12, right? Because you're in base 10, so you add 10 to it to make it a 12, or put a little 1 here. Okay, we're not in base 10, we're in base 8. So instead of adding 10 to it, which you would do in base 10, we're only going to add 8 to it. So when I cross out this 2, I change it into 2 plus 8, which is the base we're in, which makes it a 10. Okay, now I need to borrow again, so I cross that out and make it a 9, and I do the same thing to this 4 right here. We're in base 8, so I say, okay, I've borrowed, so let's add 8 to this digit. So 4 plus 8 equals 12. Okay, now I have plenty in each one of these digits, so I can subtract the 5 from the 12, I can subtract the 2 from the 9, and then there's nothing in the left digit of the second one here, so I'll just drop down to 1. Okay, so 12 minus 5 gives me, gives me 7. Okay, and then 9 minus 2 gives me 7. And then drop down your 1. Your answer is 177 base 8. Okay, got another example here. Let's do 210 base 8 minus 21 base 8. Okay, so we're going to borrow similar to what we did just now. We look at this 0, it's not enough to subtract 1 from, so we need to borrow. We look at the 1, it's not enough to subtract 2 from, especially not after we borrow it. So we need to borrow all the way over here to the 2. Okay, so I'm going to borrow again. I'm going to cross out this 2, make it a 1. And remember, when we're in base 8, we add 8 to the digit when we borrow. So 1 plus 8 gives me 9. Borrow from that, make it an 8. And then add, we're borrowing, remember, so we add the base to the 0. So cross out, and you get an 8. Now we have plenty to subtract. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 8 minus 1, 8 minus 2, and then the 1 gets dropped down. Okay, so 8 minus 1 gives us 7, 8 minus 2 gives us 6, drop down to 1, 167 base 8 is your answer.